What's up, guys? This is Rise. Previously on the channel, you saw Shin Lena, a Malaysian battler, work all the way to the grand finals in the APAC playoffs, as well as Yakai, a well-versed, well-known battler in the Go Battle League, make it to the grand finals himself from the loser side of the bracket. Now, it's time for the grand finals. And we couldn't do this justice with just me casting, so we're going to bring on the big guns. Welcome in special guest caster on the channel, Mr. 2-0 Butters. Welcome in. Good to have you here.
Yo, what's up, Rise? Thanks so much for having me. I have a suspicion of why you asked me to be on here because Shin Lena is actually running the Gudra, which has been amazing. Shin Lena ran that in Perth as well, and then obviously made it all the way to the grand finals of these APAC playoffs with that Gudra. I can't wait to see it in action.
Yeah, and speaking of the Gudra, we have a team preview here between these two talented battlers. Shin Lena, not only the Gudra, the pick that they've used quite a bit to get them to this point, I noticed, as well as a Clodsire. One of my friends, Desynced, has been using that Clodsire to much success in the LATAM region. And we see the Dugong, a strong pick. 2 Dugong in the finals at Indianapolis, proving its worth. We've got the Sableye, Cresselia, and Charjabug. So a very unique team here for Shin Lena. I always love how the metas across regions have some different types of styles, but there's some unique picks as well on the side of Yakai.
Honestly, didn't see the full team because Shin Lena was able to get to these grand finals in the battles that I watched with 3 Pokemon, just basically running Gudra, Cresselia, Sableye in every single battle. But having that Clodsire is super interesting, and one Pokemon that Shin Lena struggled with in Perth, where Shin Lena lost 2 times in Perth, both the Skarmory teams, but Yakai, no Skarmory on his team, has a really neutral, balanced team, and Umbreon, I thought from his earlier battles, was his MVP, just playing it outstanding neutrally, but also having that Vigoroth in Skeledirge, which is Skeledirge is a Pokemon that I haven't seen yet, and I am not sure you're going to be seeing that versus Shin Lena's team, but I feel like Shin Lena has a lot of space for that Gudra, so I'm pretty excited about that.
The Gudra looks awfully safe. And to recap how these trainers got to this point, or just take a look at the tournament format, they had to place in the top echelon of the qualifier to put themselves in the top 16. We saw Shin Lena stay on that winner side. Yakai started on the loser side of the bracket due to the qualifier performance and has worked his way all the way to the grand finals. Now, different from a typical play Pokemon tournament you may see in North America, this is going to be a best of 3. The winner, if Shin Lena as the winner side of the bracket is able to win, he is the champion. And Yakai will have to not only beat Shin Lena once in a best of 3, but will have to beat them twice to become the grand champion.
Up beating that Gudra twice, and if you would allow me, Rise, I'll just give a quick little Gudra rant why I think it's actually good in the meta. I was planning on competing with it. I still might compete with it one day, but I think you are just done on arrival in this meta if you're running a Dragon type that gets outpaced by all the Pokemon and gets knocked out by moves like Night Slash. Like, every Dragon type will just lose the Night Slash Annihilate. Even Shadow Dragonite, where you're resisting counters, you just lose to it, and you just get outpaced by Gligar going Aerial Ace, you get outpaced by Mud Bombs from Whiscash. So literally any single Shadow Dragon type is just getting outpaced and destroyed in this meta, in my opinion. That's why you need a little bit more bulk. That's why you need the Gudra that can actually beat something like the Annihilate in the ones. It can beat the Vigoroth in the ones. Of course, it can always beat the Gligar in Whiscash as well. It can even take a Moonblast on the Cresselia, which I know Yakai has Moonblast on his Cresselia, and to point out that Shin Lena actually has the Future Sight on their Cresselia, which I think is better against in a Skarmory meta, but we'll see how that plays out in this matchup. But the fact that you can take these attacks that you're getting outpaced on, and even take big attacks like Moonblast, you have a lot of play with it. So Yakai's going to have to beat that Gudra in 2 sets here to become the APAC playoff champion. That's going to be tough because it had so much neutral play.
The ability to absorb a move, like you said, as Gudra, not required to necessarily use shields every time a charge attack is thrown its way, as you would if you were a Dragonite, maybe a Shadow Dragonair, can be pivotal. And we've seen that Gudra piloted so well throughout this tournament. As we move on to the moment, the moment the fans want to watch, the battles themselves, normally there are some time in between the battles to recap what we just saw. This is going to be a little bit different. We're going to go pretty much from battle to battle. It's going to be Shinlena versus Yakai. Shinlena on the winner side, Yakai on the loser side. Best of 3. Here we go. Starting things off in the grand finals, and it's going to be Sableye for Shinlena against the Lantern in the lead. A neutral matchup to start things out.
And of course, you do have that Gudra in the back. You also have the Clodsire trying to swap on that foul play. That would have been huge, but actually catching the return instead. And now Shinlena has the opportunity to bank up a little bit more energy and then come in and maybe soak it up with the Clodsire. Because now that you've dented this Umbreon, you have to expect that Clodsire could finish up this matchup. And that's exactly what Shinlena decides to do.
Two extremely bulky picks gonna fight this out. Both Pokemon here can take several charge attacks, but that chip damage is gonna be pivotal. And you see how little that foul play does to the Clodsire. It's going to be able to withstand so many foul plays, and you have to wonder, do you have the patience to play out this matchup? Do you potentially take advantage of the switch timer? Do you dip out of here, save your Umbreon for later? A lot of decisions that are going to be made within this matchup.
What makes Umbreon so strong classically is to be able to get to these attacks and manipulate the switch timer so you can get back to it. And after you throw one more foul play, or even if you don't throw, you can probably get back to that timer. Shinlena decided to go for the double Stone Edge, which even though it's not as strong as Earthquake, it's a smart move because you're not going to knock out with one Earthquake anyway. Now you're already back on your timer. You could try to swap on a Stone Edge, but doesn't try to go for it. Gets the full Snarl through, decides to let this Umbreon go. Maybe come in with that Shadow Gligar to farm down, but Shinlena, I feel like you're going to instantly pivot as soon as you see that Gligar, but no, actually just staying in. Going to try to throw some Stone Edges before this Gligar gets the farm down.
Some very valuable chip damage from the Stone Edge. Having that move, rather than the Sludge Bomb, gives Clodsire that nice coverage where it can fight back against the Gligar in the immediate pivot, but not before a move is fired off, really putting the pressure on Yakai. The foul play coming through from Sableye grabs that Protect Shield. The Gligar, it was a charge attack priority, and no shields have been used yet from Shinlena. Gonna let the dig go through. There's gonna be considerable damage. The Sableye puts it low, and it is not gonna get to another move.
And I swear this isn't only Gudra bias. Gudra is so strong against this backline. You have that Lantern in the back. You have 2 Protect Shields remaining. I don't even think this Shadow Gligar is going to get to 2 Aerial Aces. So that's why you throw up your Protect Shield. You properly Protect Shield the dig. And now it's just going to be 1 Protect Shield versus 1 Protect Shield. Lantern versus Gudra. And this Gudra has the Power Whip. Even though Lantern is ahead on energy, you're going to be able to soak this Thunderbolt better than other Dragon types, but deciding to use the Protect Shield, knowing that Yakai is probably going to throw the Thunderbolt first. That was a smart Protect Shield.
Love that shield. You see high-level players make that decision often. Oftentimes when you're so healthy, they're not going to throw the bait move. It's too risky. Now going directly for the Power Whip, and we do see Yakai put up the shield. Needed the shield that to stay in this game. However, we talked about it before the game. The bulk of Gudra. We're going to see how much this Surf does. Electing to go for maybe a double Surf rather than going direct for that Thunderbolt. It does not do nearly enough. The Power Whip is coming through, and this Power Whip is going to dish out super effective damage, giving Shinlena game number 1 in this grand final.
And like you said, this is going to be a best of 3, so Shinlena is now just 1 game away from being the champion. And of course, Yakai has to win 2 in a row here just to reset the bracket to try to win a next series after that. Yakai is in a corner, but I like the way that he played that game number 1, swapping in the Umbreon, trying to swap on that foul play damage, but also I felt like Yakai was trying to bait out that Gudra, and here is that Gudra in the lead. And this is why I love Gudra, because you can beat the Vigoroth, because you can go just straight Aqua Tail in the 1 Protect Shield situation. You can win that matchup. Just trying to swap on the Body Slam though, actually, and now it's going to bait out the Gligar, which suddenly Yakai has life in this series.
Yeah, it's a bold swap, a bold decision. Deciding to just directly go into the Clodsire was potentially trying to catch a charge attack, but now you run the risk lined up with the Gligar. You see how much that Stone Edge doesn't quite do half health. Otherwise, you would have seen Gligar go into that yellow health range. So Gligar can withstand 2 Stone Edges. It's going to throw the dig. This can do so much damage to the Clodsire. And how much of an advantage is Yakai going to be able to get out of the secondary matchup, actually willing to put up a Protect Shield on the Gligar?
Problem is, you don't really have any place to put your Dugong. It's going to be Vigoroth, Cresselia in the back, so that Dugong is pretty vulnerable. It's actually best case scenario that you do get the Protect Shield out of Gligar. At least now you can throw this Dugong out, soak this energy, and try to go for an Ice Shard down and try to land an Icy Wind. Actually Protect Shielding on the Gligar. I'm quite shocked at this because you know it's not going to have any play into the Vigoroth. Here comes a swap into the Vigoroth on the rock slide. This is going to be super effective damage, and suddenly the tides have turned. Yakai seems very far ahead in this matchup.
This is so uncomfortable, having to shield and use your last Protect Shield relatively early in the matchup. Power Whip coming through against the Vigoroth in a no shield. This is going to nearly knock out the Vigoroth, but not before it can get off this rock slide worth of chip damage. Goodra should be able to hang on, but it will put it relatively low.
And the problem is the Cresselia is fully healthy here. You need to get a lot of chip damage onto this Cresselia, but Gligar still has energy, so Yakai has the opportunity to just come in and try to throw an Aerial Ace before an Aqua Tail is available, and then that ensures that Cresselia, and there is that energy, actually farming up extra, knowing that Goodra is pretty dry here. Now you're just going to have a 1 Protect Shield advantage with Cresselia in the back versus anything on Shinlena's team. Even against the Sableye, I feel like Cresselia would probably win this.
Dugong is a very strong Pokemon, especially when you can debuff the last Pokemon. However, down a shield, facing off against that super effective Grass Knot, this is just not a feasible situation for the Dugong. First Grass Knot coming through. Dugong may be able to withstand 2 Grass Knots here because of these debuffs. However, there is still a Gligar lurking in the back. In the bulk you see of Cresselia, it can just withstand multiple charge attacks from the Dugong. One thing Yakai could potentially do is just keep on building energy, clear the debuff, and then come back in to knock out with a Grass Knot. But for now, Dugong is just trying to fight this out until the bitter end.
Yeah, and you have that Protect Shield as well. I actually liked how Shinlena built the team composition here, having the Goodra in the lead, and then having kind of an alignment-based backline of the Clodsire Dugong that protect itself really well, but then pivoting out of that alignment base, I would rather you just stay in with the Goodra, try to get that alignment there, and I feel like you would have had a really good chance of winning this game number 2 and becoming the APAC Playoffs champion. Instead, now it's tied 1-1, and Yakai is thinking that Cresselia is looking pretty strong on his team. He brings it again in this game number 3.
Oh, a terrific lead for Shinlena, but unfortunately doesn't have an obvious counter swap to this Vigoroth. And now, all of a sudden, Yakai, just like that, from the worst possible league, Gligar into Dugong, exactly what it doesn't want to see. You swap the Vigoroth, and this is what it's known for. There was no Cresselia, there was no Clodsire this time, and the Vigoroth has a slightly positive matchup, I would say, against the Sableye with that ability to heavily resist the Shadow Claw damage.
And the crucial thing for Yakai, you actually bait out the Sableye. Now you know that Cresselia in the back is going to be incredibly strong because there's nothing else on the team of Shinlena that can handle this Cresselia besides maybe a Charge Bug. And even if you get Protect Shields down, you'll be okay against that Charge Bug. Getting both the Protect Shields from Shinlena here, trying to at all costs take this switch advantage to make sure that the Dugong is going to be matched up against the Gligar. Do you Protect Shield? No Protect Shield on the return. Going to do a ton of damage. Now you're going to be able to Shadow Claw down, but first you have to take a Rock Slide, and this is going to be really close to knocking out.
I don't know if Sableye can hang on here. The neutral Rock Slide puts it extremely low, but the counter knocks it out before the Shadow Claw. And just like that, Yakai has flip switch advantage and has a shield advantage on top of it.
Yeah, that is brutal. It was single resisted versus double resisted. The counter versus that Shadow Claw there. And Yakai's up a shield, has switched. Now he's going to be throwing the Aerial Ace into this Goodra here. Can always pivot into Cresselia to try to soak the Aqua Tail and not give up Protect Shield. Instead, probably is going to give up Protect Shield onto the Shadow Gligar. There it is. And now you can just get to second Aerial Ace here, and you're going to still have that backline matchup of Cresselia into Dugong. I don't think Shinlina has a lot of options here.
Once again, the Dugong with a devastating fate against the Cresselia. This is a painful matchup just because the Icy Winds do not do nearly enough compared to the super effective Grass Knot. And this is one of those games, right? We saw the terrible lead for the Gligar, but Yakai had a plan, and he knew the Vigoroth was an effective safe swap. Unfortunately, against this particular line, there was no easy response. Vigoroth was able to completely change the aspect of the game, taking back switch advantage, taking a shield advantage on top of it, and now Yakai looks in firm control, maybe destined for a bracket reset.
And this is brutal here for Shinlina, which I feel like Shinlina has had the proper positioning with the team comps that start each battle, but kind of fumbled that positioning and just let Yakai get back into it. In this game, Yakai able to safe swap that Vigoroth and just completely flip the entire game with one Pokemon. I feel like you can use Goodra a little bit differently to try to either maintain the alignment. Here comes the swap in the Goodra, counter swap by Yakai. That's why he's one of the best trainers. Like you said, he is constantly in the top of the leaderboard in Go Battle League, has peaked at #1, and is just a fantastic trainer that now has reset the bracket of this APAC playoffs.
Yakai takes the 2-1 victory here in this first set, and now we reset the bracket. So it is going to be back to zeros. Yakai versus Shinlina in a true winner-take-all scenario now. First player to 2 wins is your APAC regional champion. We had players compete from all over the APAC region. From Malaysia is Shinlina. And here we go, already underway. Goodra into Cresselia. And the Moonblast is going to be super threatening with super effective damage. We see the catch attempt on the Charger Bug, and look at this. Not an obvious answer for Yakai, so he's going to first elect to throw the Moonblast chip, and I suspect maybe after this Moonblast you go into your Vigoroth, and that's exactly what he's going to do.
Smart backline choices by both trainer here. Shinlina does bring in that Charger Bug, which has been really strong against Yakai's backline. But Yakai, instead of bringing Cresselia in the back, brought it in the front this time, and then brought Umbreon in the back. That's going to be really good against that Sableye when you get to the back lines later in the battle. So I feel like great adjustments by both trainers here. And now you got a Protect Shield with this X-Scissor. I feel like this is exactly what you want with a Pokemon like Goodra that is so strong neutrally. And just letting this Charger Bug go. I love this play from Shinlina. I feel like Shinlina was giving up too many Protect Shields in that first series. Now, just save them for your strongest Pokemon and try to neutrally just battle through with that Goodra.
The Vigoroth has been so strong for Yakai in this series thus far. Goodra comes in, gonna have to eat a body slam here as it chunks away at that health, has a lot of energy. Gonna go for the Aqua Tail to try and knock out this Vigoroth. But the Vigoroth has given Yakai a bit of an advantage. Was contemplating maybe a Protect Shield. No, decides Vigoroth has done enough here. And you have the alignment, as you said. And the Sableye immediately met by the Umbreon. Sableye, a painful matchup for it. However, that return does give it some play here.
Fantastic tournament tactics by Yakai to keep showing Crest in the backline as your win condition and then switch it to Umbreon, which is going to counter the counter from Shinlina. And like you mentioned, does have that return. There's only one Protect Shield remaining. Umbreon is going to be the strongest Pokemon for Yakai remaining and does Protect Shield the foul play here. So Shinlina did get a small advantage in this matchup, still has a Protect Shield remaining. So it's definitely not over for Shinlina here.
Gonna have to take the foul play. Has one Protect Shield remaining. Sometimes you just gauge how much this does. Try to recognize where do I want to use that last Protect Shield. There's still a Cresselia to worry about in the back. But for now, Sableye trying to fight back against this Umbreon. Return connects puts it to a range where one more return might be able to knock out. The problem is, if you're Sableye, that's a lot of energy. How are you going to get to that return? You're going to put up the Protect Shield here. Now there are no Protect Shields remaining on either side. All the remaining charge moves are going to connect. We see the swap, the counter swap, and the Power Whip is going to get off here against Cresselia.
Yeah, the problem here for Cresselia now, because you didn't throw before the Power Whip, you had the energy to throw before the Power Whip. Now it's going to be really clunky. You're going to have to get the double Moonblast, and you have to get this double Moonblast or the Grass Knot before you get knocked out by these Shadow Claws. Of course, this is going to knock out the Goodra, but it is just about how long can you endure Shadow Claws to get to a Grass Knot. You do get to the Grass Knot. Can you get to the Moonblast too? And Cresselia is just too bulky, able to get the back-to-back Moonblast. And now Yakai has won 3 straight battles in this matchup and is 1 victory away from being the APAC playoff champion.
All the momentum in Yakai's favor. After dropping the first game in the grand finals, 3 straight victories. Can Shin Lena get a stop against Yakai? It's a potential game-winning, regional winning game here, and it's going to be the Vigoroth against the Chargebug. This is actually a slightly favorable matchup for Vigoroth because of that Rock Slide, although Chargebug does resist the counter damage.
You can win those 1 Protect Shield situations with the Vigoroth here, and if you look at the back lines, the alignment is going to matter a lot. I feel like both these trainers, it's in their best interest to fight for alignment here, because you don't want to match up that Sableye into Umbreon once again. If you get Sableye into that Skeledirge, you're going to be in a really good spot here. It looks like it's going to be the X's are landing. You don't see it on the left side, but you see it running properly on that right side.
Yeah, I think a little bit of visual latency there. However, things seem to be back in order now, and the Vigoroth is going to overfarm here. And look at this, Yakai maximizing his energy, so on point with the Vigoroth. The Body Slam should be just about enough to knock out the Chargebug, and Vigoroth still has lots of energy.
And this is just brutal here, because that Umbreon, which I think was Yakai's MVP to get to this point, is going to be so strong neutrally, because Goodra doesn't have the reach to do enough damage against the Umbreon. And then Sableye just gets countered by this Umbreon. Yes, again, you have that Protect Shield advantage. You have a chance here if you're Shin Lena, but it's just all comes down to your Sableye play. Are you going to double Protect Shield? Here comes the first one.
Foul play draws the shield from Sableye. Sableye has a lot of work to do. There is still a fully healthy Skeledirge in the back, by the way. Yakai brought that in this potential final game. It doesn't have a whole lot of play, though, against the remaining Pokemon, unless maybe shields are down. Foul play coming through, and this Umbreon just gets to its moves so quickly. The charge attacks so fast, and the foul plays adding up against Sableye.
And then suddenly you're just in range of the next foul play from this Umbreon. You're at the return, but you actually let a full Snarl through here, which is absolutely brutal in this situation to throw on the alignment. The return does land. You're almost at your timer, but the foul play is available, and you can't even get to your timer before that foul play is thrown. Do you give up your last Protect Shield, or is it going to be Goodra versus the world? Looks like it's going to be Goodra versus world. Can Goodra finish this sweep? It's going to have to Protect Shield this foul play, and I don't know. Actually, no Protect Shielding the foul play. It's going to be so low here.
This is so difficult for the Goodra. The Skeledirge comes in a favorable matchup, but Incinerate is so strong, and these resisted Incinerates are putting Goodra so low. Aqua Tail, super effective damage coming through. Will the Skeledirge be able to withstand it? Yes, but the Goodra goes down to the Incinerate. Sableye is way too low, has to try to farm down, and it can't. And just like that, Yakai is your APAC Regional Playoff Champion. Congratulations to Yakai. What a performance. What a run.
Brilliant display there, winning 4 games straight after losing the first one. And I think really playing smart level Pokemon Go PvP in terms of how to manipulate neutral situations, because you see that Goodra is really strong neutrally. You see how you're able to hold on to shield, hold on to energy, hold on to bulk in the back. Yakai every single time had that Umbreon in the back, which was just so strong. And then how about that Vigoroth that was able to then flip the matchup and just be so safe in this scenario? the chess pieces were well played by Yakai the entire time, because I thought the entire time Shinlena had the team composition advantage, but just well done to be able to move the chessboard around to get that victory from Yakai.
It seemed like he always had a plan, right? Whether he lost lead, whether he won lead, was always maneuvering around, luring out the things he wanted to lure out, and Yakai showing that his well-versed skills and well-versed achievements in the Go Battle League can translate to that Show 6 format, and he is now the APAC playoff champion. Both of these trainers, however, will qualify for Worlds in Honolulu, Hawaii, but Yakai gets that prestigious title of being a regional champion.
Absolutely. And how about, I believe Yakai has also placed 6th and 5th in the past. In 2022, APAC playoff was 6th place, and then 2023 was 5th place. Now taking the crown. Just amazing play. Like you mentioned, just was able to manipulate those neutral matchups, which is something that you learn playing Go Battle League, and it's a reason that Yakai is always on that top place of the leaderboard, displaying that there. Also, one quick thing, having the team progression, where in Show 6, where you show something and then swap to something else, and having the ability to pull off both strategies and also pull off the transition, that's high-level tournament play too from Yakai, so absolutely well done.
A trainer I'm sure we will see more from in the future. I'll be intrigued to see him at Worlds, meet him in Hawaii, and hopefully we see an impressive run from Yakai. Just an absolute stud of a trainer. Credit to Shinlena as well, with just a super impressive run throughout this tournament before eventually falling to Yakai in the finals. Both these trainers have a lot to be proud of. And with that being said, thank you to these two trainers for sending me the footage and trusting me to showcase their battles and their regional runs. Some of these APAC players, right, might not get the same spotlight or as much on-screen airtime as some players in North America or Europe or elsewhere. So always intrigued and impressed to see some of their gameplay that we can showcase here. With that all said, thank you so much to 2-0 Butters for joining me on this cast. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Once again, congratulations to Yakai, Shinlena, and all that said, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thank you for watching. If you did enjoy it, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, comment down below. All comments are appreciated, and all that said, thanks so much for watching. I hope to see you in the next one. Peace.